Hey, it's Dave with Organics. Today we're going to talk about one of the most common questions that we get, and probably the hardest issue that we have to deal with producers, which is fertilizer. So we get the question, how much can I really reduce my fertilizer? And I know what a lot of guys are really thinking, you're nuts. I'm not really going to cut back my fertilizer, but you're here, so I'll hear you out. So first, what are our fertilizer recommendations for corn? So I asked, what is in the minds of a lot of people, the world authority, artificial intelligence. How much fertilizer should I put on my corn? Well, AI says you want 1 to 1.25 pounds of nitrogen per bushel of corn that you plan to yield. You want a little more than half a pound of P2O5 and about 1 1/3 pounds of K2O, potassium and phosphorus. Universities, fertilizer companies, they're making recommendations in the same range. And of course, many of them say, based on your soil type and your soil test, which is right. Now, how much of these things are actually in the bushel of corn? Well, a bushel of corn has a half a pound, maybe a little bit more if it's higher protein, of nitrogen. It has about 1/3 of a pound of phosphorus and about 1/4 of a pound of potassium. So why are we putting so much on the ground when we're removing relatively little? Are we wasting it? What's happening? Well, first of all, erosion is your #1 source of nutrient loss. So if you want to talk about nutrient use efficiency, we really want to control erosion. But the other thing that happens that we really can't control, especially phosphorus and potassium, because of the electric charges they have, as soon as they hit the soil, they're going to react with other elements in the soil. They're going to combine chemically. And now it's really hard or almost impossible for the plant root to access them. That's called being tied up. So how can we do better? Well, put microbes to work for you. Really? Why? It's because plants farm microbes because microbes can mine the soil. Now, I'm going to show you charts like this, and you can see the little scientific references, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but there are a couple points. So if you look at that big red arrow at the bottom, basically what this is saying is the plant biochemically, this is not conscious thought, of course, this is God's biochemical design. It's going to determine how it takes up nutrients based on the nutrients in the soil. When plants are farming microbes, they're secreting root exudates. That's mostly food, carbohydrates that microbes turn into energy, because in exchange, microbes feed back to the plant the N, P, K, S, magnesium, calcium, iron, zinc, etc. You get it, all the micros and the macros. However, if the plant senses that it has enough nitrogen and or phosphorus, it slows way back, putting in those exudates, which means now the microbes don't have enough fuel. So the plants are not farming microbes, the microbes are not mining the soil, they're not feeding your plant. Now we're over fertilizing because we're not putting the biology to work. How do we know? I like using pictures. So you've probably seen purple corn. This is because in the spring, usually, there's not enough phosphorus in the plant, but there's enough phosphorus in the soil. What's happening? It's because there's not enough microbial activity unlocking that phosphorus, feeding it back to the plant. It's not just microbial activity, it may not be the right kinds of microbes too. Yellow corn, low nitrogen. Seriously, do you think that ground really doesn't have enough nitrogen in it? Are there too many people that are growing corn that don't put nitrogen down? What's happening? It's being tied up in the soil, probably in this case by some of the biology, But it's the wrong biology. It's biology that's necessary, but we don't have other kinds of microbes that then release that nitrogen back to the crop. I've got other videos that I've done to explain that in more details, but the biology is critical. So let's look at this picture. Now this is from Missouri. I hope you can see where I've got the black arrow on the top and the line, the different colors of green. Everything in this field is the same, even the planting date. The only difference is on the left, the biology was added, our Organics Bio 800 Plus. So now we've got all the biology going to work. It's darker green because that crop is getting more nutrients than the one on the right that's lacking the biology that's not being fed. So look, there is a ton of science that I'm not going to go through. I do in other videos. Here, this is a summary of hundreds of studies that look at nitrogen and how it's used in rice, wheat, corn, and small grains. You need to know one thing. Biologically healthy soils produce greater corn yields per unit of fertilizer input. In other words, if you have biology working for you in the soil, you're getting more bang for your buck. Why? Microbes eat the fertilizer. They keep it in the root zone. Other microbes eat those and they cycle it back. Same for phosphorus. Look, phosphorus is one of those elements that's a macronutrient. It reacts so fast in the soil, the plant can't get it. If you look at the title of this slide, what's in yellow, microbes are the bridge between that tied up phosphorus in the soil, which is in the non-living phase, and bringing it back to where it's available for the crop. Basically, we want to think of microbes as little bags of fertilizer. Now, there's another way. So microbes eat each other, and when they do, they secrete waste. That waste are the nutrients the plant then absorbs right there in the root zone. But plant roots also will absorb microbes, basically eating them. And when it does, it's getting those little bags of fertilizer that have mined the soil, again, for nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, calcium, magnesium, on and on and on. Little bags of soluble fertilizer, all bringing the nutrients in the soil to the plant. So, okay, lots of science. How's it really work? So here's a field in Iowa. For 3 years, part of the field was fertilized by the local co-op, using the co-op or the local university recommendations on fertilizer. The other part of the field, and this is about 120, 130 acre field, fertilizer was cut way, way back. Nitrogen, I believe, in half, no P or K. All of it was treated with biology. So we gave the biology a chance. If you look at the right-hand column, that's where too much fertilizer was added versus where it was backed way off. And remember, biology on both sides. Look at the difference when we encourage the plant to feed the microbes, to secrete the root exudates, the fuel, how the microbes respond. Carbon is almost double. Remember, carbon is the fuel. Nitrogen, 50% higher. Phosphorus, double. Potassium, 50% higher. Sulfur, pH is better. Organic matter is higher. By the way, these are not available pools. This is a combustion test, so it's looking at what's total in its availability. Wow. Making the plant a little bit hungry so it has to feed the microbes actually works. By the way, this guy saved a lot of money in fertilizer. So look, when you use a product, Bio 800 Plus, that has representative species of everything you need in healthy soil to give you more bang for your buck. So bacteria, actinomycetes, archaea, lots and lots of different kinds of fungi, protozoa, amoeba, algae, you get it. Use less fertilizer. You're going to get better results. But use it as a tool because there is no set formula to tell you where you should end up because your ground is different. You probably have different spots across even a given field. This is a tool. Take cuts, maybe 10% per year in nitrogen. You can go faster with P and K. Most ground has a lot of P and K tied up. And then you're going to pencil in through the years where this works the best, where you get the most bang for your buck. I also recommend, cut the pre-plant and the starter. During the season, if your crop is hungry, feed it. The biology will help that food get to the crop faster. Also, I've got other videos on tillage. Do back off the tillage, because when we till, we kill fungi, and they're really important in this whole nutrient cycling process. So again, I hope this gives you enough confidence that next time we say back off your fertilizer, you actually do give us a chance and don't just say, no, you're nuts. Okay, hey, thanks a lot. I hope this was helpful.